Hi guys, what's going on, and welcome back to the episode of Total War Arena. So, we are actually going to be taking a look at the Greek spearmen. A unit class I have basically done nothing with. As you can see, my Leonidas is at tier 1, Miltiades is surprisingly actually at tier 5, but that was only so I could use him as a slinger commander. I'm only actually at tier 4 with the spearmen, and I think that was once in one of the previous Greek spearmen weekends. I just did it because I thought it seemed a shame to not take advantage of it. But basically, after playing the auxiliary tier 8 spearmen with the Romans for the premium unit review, it kind of whetted my appetite a little bit for these hoplites. Towards the end, very slightly started to get the hang of them, I felt, and yeah, now I'm kind of curious as to how they're going to play, and I'd like to play them a little bit more. Obviously, these guys are going to be nowhere near as good as the Romans because they were a pretty exceptional unit, so I don't expect to be doing quite so well as I did with them. But yeah, I thought we'll give these guys a go. I've got them a bit upgraded. I've not got the helmet or anything, but got most of the body armour, the shields, and the actual weapon. So hopefully they're not going to be too bad. Obviously you have a choice between Miltiades and Leonidas, and as far as I'm aware, it's kind of a choice between sort of a stronger commander but no mobility, or a slightly weaker commander with mobility. And I can't stand slow units, which is the reason I don't play Germanicus. So Miltiades is certainly the way forwards, I feel, for me. I'm running them with the Olympic Trials consumable. At this tier, I mean this is only tier 4, so the consumables will change slightly in higher tier. They normally get a third trait, but at this tier there's really not a lot of choice. I think Olympic Trials is really the only one to go for. Could go for the rations, but you get melee weapon damage with the Trials, only 1 point difference, and +6 melee defense is actually a reasonable amount, particularly when you're only rocking a base of 63. You know, adding 6 onto that is actually a decent amount. Adding 4 morale, not all that useful really. I don't like the short-term consumables, and Thales Cavalry just getting a worse version of everything, so it doesn't really seem to be any benefit. So Olympic Trials is what I'm running with. So I don't think there's a lot else to add other than let's just hop into a game and yeah, see if we can actually have a bit of a go with these guys. So we are loading into Salernum with our spearmen. I am currently thinking town seems probably the most sensible option. Obviously, spearmen have the ability to phalanx, you can block up streets kind of easier. And sort of without having to manoeuvre myself around a field, I might be able to cope with the level of micromanagement required. Obviously, as if you've been following me for a while, I'm sure you know at sort of at best I'm a mediocre spearman, and at worst I'm just downright incompetent. So we shall see how this goes. This may actually be terrible. So we're just going to push up. Obviously, I could go break ranks here to gain the extra speed, but considering I'm just going to be pushing into this little bit of town here, I don't think there's any need at this second. Just, I would kind of want to wait to see how things play out a little bit anyway. We've got some of our teammates moving up. It looks like they've got some Romans moving into town and some other hoplites as well. So maybe things won't go so badly. Let's just push up to the edge. We've got to keep an eye out to make sure we don't get flanked by cavalry. Obviously archers are a real problem with Miltiades compared to Leonidas because you don't get anything like the fight in the shade that you do for Leonidas. That kind of makes things a little bit harder for us. We've got some enemy Hastati coming into town. So let's have a look at these guys. See what we're going to do about that. Well, we're straight on with some cannons. That's cannons? Suddenly got gunpowder units. No, with some artillery. So my initial inclination is I would quite like to go for these Romans. 1, because it may make the artillery stop shooting at me. And 2, there's dogs. Oh, this is just getting worse. Okay, and the Romans have got enough sense to not actually want to fight me, which is unfortunate for me. I'm trying to huddle in by this building. It's quite tall, so it should give me enough protection from the enemy artillery rounds. I do want to be getting away from these dogs, though. What am I going to do against these guys? Great ranks is probably my best option here, because or charging is probably the other best option. Did at least something. We'll go for a heavy thrust. They have actually come in with their handlers as well. So this is kind of the tricky question now. If I go, where's my other unit? If I go into phalanx, I'm going to do more damage to their handlers. Let's try and manage our fatigue. Make sure other units aren't under attack, which they're not, at least currently. I'm trying to get damage on their handlers. It's not going well, because I can't get past the dogs, can I? So, and I've forgotten about these guys. There's nothing I can do but fight the dogs like this and see what damage I can get on them, which is not all that much. That unit is pretty much dead. Let's pull these guys out behind the Romans. These guys are better off leaving them in break ranks. It's not really worked out for me. You know, they are damaging the dogs, but not a lot, not sufficiently, certainly. And that artillery is so strong and persistent, it's kind of hard for us to do anything about it. It's going to be a case of just fighting the handlers. It's not so bad, but the actual dog units are what the real killer is. Keep trying to get back, keep continually getting hit. Let's turn on these guys here. No, you see, they've got the sense. It's actually a well-played dog play, you see. Hopefully our archers can get some damage in. So now their dogs are actually dead. It's not such a problem, because now we've got no fatigue. We can probably push into this dog unit fairly effectively. If we're going to use a thrust. See, now that's when we get our damage in. That's when things are not going quite so badly for us. Go back onto break ranks with these guys, get ourselves moving back up again, and we can sort of try and block up this passage a little bit. Although we're still going to suffer badly from enemy artillery. Try and deal with that. Well, it's not exactly been the introduction I had hoped. But, you know, it's a start. Nothing really I can do here, bar just be shot at, to be honest. And peelers as well, just to top it off. Lovely. Let's pull this unit back around slightly. I'm basically just defending these archers here. I've got nothing else here in support. The artillery is a huge problem, but there's really nothing I can do in regards to the enemy artillery at the moment. So let's pull these guys back, at least try and find some rear defence for these guys, particularly if we've got brigands coming up. So the dog handlers, not a problem. It's just a case of maintaining fatigue. I'm going to have to obviously be pulling back with these guys. Just trying to keep everyone in check. Trying not to get overwhelmed. The consequence here is, obviously, is this gap here. It would be much better for me if these archers pull back out this little circle here, you see. So I can maintain it a bit, but my fatigue is going to start to stack up, which it is, you see. Now we're starting to be pushed back, so let's keep pulling back. Trying to maintain some sort of unit cohesion, I think, is my plan. Get these guys around. See, now they're going to be able to get through onto the archers. If I can get back to the next line of defence, which is here. Oh, let the archers know. These dog handlers are going to try and get around to me. This is where I need more speed, because these units are actually pretty slow. We have, looked like, by the looks of it, got some reinforcements on the way. And we are actually racking up quite a bit of damage in this process, you see. We're trying to keep our fatigue about neutral, and we're stopping them, we're delaying them. We are taking some damage, but nothing horrendous. Let's go for our next thrust. But it looks like the enemy hoplites just pushing straight through. It's going really hard, and it's hard for us to deal with, that sort of thing. In theory, our fatigue should be much lower than them, because they're just pushing forwards the whole time. But, you know, we're so outnumbered, it's hard for us to not just be completely overwhelmed. Particularly if we're going to get more units pulling back. So let's keep trying to pull ourselves back. We are keeping our morale down. And we are racking up some damage against these guys. We'll go for a thrust where we can. But we're going to come up against a backstop here of more enemy spearmen. So I don't think that's going to be working particularly well for us. We've got another unit there, but these guys can't really get in anyway. And now I think I am well and truly stuck. I think they're pretty much dead. Let's see what we can do with our other guys. I'm just going to send this unit back up here, and it's a pretty close match. Now let's push in, because we've actually got pretty good fatigue. See what damage we can do. Not that much, actually, to be honest. You think we'll be able to get a little bit more on them, but actually not so successful. And our fatigue is now maxing out. Okay. Well, hop into break ranks, see if we can get through. At least, actually, surprisingly, some units survived. They don't seem to have really good survivability. They certainly haven't made perfect use of things like my infantry charge, although we'll have a quick go with it now just to see sort of what damage we get with it. It does a bit, but not exactly loads, does it? Just push through this cavalry, you never know, it might give us a little bit of damage. We'll max our fatigue out there. I was pulling these guys back to base, but it doesn't look like there's actually a lot here. But it looks like we are surprisingly winning the battle. So we might actually be able to pull this one back yet, which would be quite surprising considering my performance so far. I think we were doing the right thing pulling back along the street. Oh, it just feels so slow compared to the whip on those tier 8s though, which makes it feel pretty painful. I guess the base movement speed on these guys is pretty painfully slow, even with break ranks. I'm only getting 4.3. Which isn't very fast, but then, you know, we're at tier 4. Maybe I'm expecting too much. It's been kind of quite a while since I've played at this tier, so, you know, maybe that's part of the problem. I think in the starting place, fighting those dogs was a terrible idea. I should have probably just pulled back. I felt that with the break ranks and the extra melee attack that it gives, and the fact you're not in phalanx, it might work out, but it really didn't, did it? So yeah, that turned out to be an error. And they're friendly dogs they are. We'll use our infantry charge just to gain a bit of ground. Yes, that kind of wasn't a thing. Obviously, it's worth pointing out, if you didn't know, you cannot hurt dogs if you are in phalanx mode. If you go into phalanx, you will do no damage to the dogs. Of course, you can damage the handlers, but the dogs will take no damage themselves. So it's kind of worth noting that if you have to fight dogs, you know, you get caught in that situation where you've got no choice, then you certainly want to be out of phalanx. I guess we'll take this capture point just to see if there's anything here. It looks like the bulk of their forces are probably down in this little sort of valley bit down here, so we'll keep pushing down this way with these painfully slow units. And see if we can find someone else to rack up a last little bit of damage with. We actually got not so bad on the aggression score in the end. I can certainly see how if you can manage yourself well, you can really delay a lot of units, particularly in that town like that where we're just pulling back. Particularly protecting our archers, allow them to continue to get fire on, while we'd only got one of our units defending, you know, 6 or 7 enemy units. So it is possible to do pretty well out of it. So let's pull back down this way and see what about these Romans here. Looks like we've got some archers moving up in support. So pretty much all there is, other than these Romans here and these Romans here. This is the last they've got. So let's see what we can do to start to threaten them. It's a shame these guys don't have a bit more speed. Oh, they're solo Romans. Okay. Interesting choice. I'm probably not going to be inclined to infantry charge these. It's an interesting point which I don't know with Miltiades is it worth sort of maintaining more of a unit formation when fighting units like this, particularly when outnumbered? I think if I charge into them, yes, I'll get a bit of damage on the charge, but the unit will become so disjointed it will almost certainly result in a flanking, and then I'll lose the unit, so I'm just not sure it's worth it. If I had a full strength unit, or, you know, charging into archers or cavalry or something like that, then yeah, it seems well worth the charge, but otherwise I'm not so sure it is. So I'm probably more inclined to fight this one unit here, since I may be able to catch them on their own. Whereas, you know, if I get flanked by any of these guys, then I'm going to be completely doomed. So let's start pushing up on them. I feel confident that we're probably going to win this game, so that's not something that's too much of a worry for me. So I feel like I can risk this and sort of see how it goes. Oh, we're going to get peeled. Ow. Okay, let's immediately go into phalanx and start to manage our position. We're going to get heavy infantry charged, I assume. We of course get the benefit of our archers can continually to shoot. So I'm just trying to hold them off. They're going to pull back. So let's try and counter this. Coming out. It's a shame they're solo because it means they've got quite a lot of speed on them. We could try going for a heavy infantry charge. Of course, we've lost visibility. I'm assuming they're continuing towards the archers who are standing there, but maybe they're not. There they are. Yeah, let's clear this corner. And then I think I'm going to go for a rearward heavy infantry charge. Right now, I don't know if that's going to give me enough time to catch up. Just. Try and pull back. Trying to maintain some unit cohesion. See, in this sort of situation, I can pull back and get damage on him, you see. This is where it works quite well. And if he now tries to pursue, he's going to run effectively into my spears. Let's keep pulling back. You can see he's racking up damage, and I'm really not taking anything currently. He has got a few units behind me, which is inherently the problem, and that's where I'm going to start taking damage, and that's kind of the risk of the heavy infantry charge. Look, like now, you see he's starting to take up quite a bit of damage, and he can't even get on me at the moment, and so he's ultimately given up effectively. He's going to allow me to reform my little mini line, and see what sort of threatening sort of stuff we can do to him, which is probably not going to be a lot. Might just pull back a little bit to get behind these couple of Romans who are behind me, because I would rather have everyone in front of me, you see. And now he's got dogs. Let's think about starting to push forward slightly. See what we can do. There's not really a lot of point in heavy thrusting, but there we go, and he is dead. Yeah, I think I've still got a bit of work to get the hang of these guys. You know, this was the point of the video to some extent. I wasn't trying to show this one as like this is exactly how you should play them. This is more of a, I've never played spears before, and I'm quite bad at them, but you know, it's kind of learning about it altogether. I'm going to check if this helmet carries over to anything. Well, we could just skip over to the tier 5s, to be honest. Should we just do that? God, it's Greek Spearmen weekend this weekend. That's why it is 50% off, and we have 50,000 free XP. So what's just 1,200? If in doubt, use a little bit of free XP because Miltiades is already on the next tier. So it may be worth pre-unlocking some things I don't know. I guess we haven't carried any of this stuff over from the previous tier. Refined Archaic Doru. No, so we've not really got anything here. Looks like we've got the leggings, but we haven't yet got them unlocked. 3.5 base movement speed, still pretty painful to be honest, isn't it? So we've still got quite a bit of work to do there. Let's have a look at what we've got consumable-wise. I think there'll be a change now at tier 5. No, I was wrong. I was expecting to get another stat available. So you've got double rations, which gives the 8 melee weapon damage. Unlimited trials, which does exactly the same as at tier 4. Still the melee weapon defense, 6 weapon damage. And everything else is the same. I still think, to be honest, that the melee defense you get is a reasonable amount. So I'm going to be going for the Olympic trials yet again. Shame it just doesn't give a little bit of a movement speed buff. Maybe it will as we get into higher tiers, I don't know. I can probably check that up ahead. It does. I thought it did because I remember running it on my Greek cavalry. That would be nice. That makes things a lot nicer when you get the 6% movement speed bonus. Because you kind of need that. Because Miltiades is supposed to be all about that maneuverability. So you do really, I feel like you need it. Other than that, we've not really got a lot to upgrade to this, guys. So, stock tier 5 hoplites. Here we go. So, we are loading in. It looks like I'm probably going to be inclined to go to town again initially. Same map as we got before. But let's just see how we get on now at tier 5. It looks like we are top tier, so we might have a chance of actually doing at least a little damage in this. And see how it goes. Hopefully these guys have lots of cananes. With a sort of mix of archers and spear units and everything in between. We'll go straight on with break ranks. Let's get our units moving. I think I'm just going to go for a similar position, to be honest. Or should we try and go for a little bit more varieties? That's not very interesting. Let's push more this way. Head down into the actual core of the town. Have we got some other units here? We have got some archers moving up with us, along with sort of a variety of different hoplites. More hoplites here. There's hoplites everywhere. It's just hoplites then, really. I told you to go down there. Have these guys gone all a bit funny where they do the multiple orders thing? No. Okay. Yeah, one of them has. Look, sometimes I get this. I don't know if any of you guys encountered this bug, where you sometimes seem to like stack orders. It just gets like increasing. It's like you're holding down shift to tell them different orders, and then it stacks up to end up issuing like 8 different orders, and you turn around and one of your units is walking around in a circle behind the lines trying to fulfill all these different orders. These guys are just about to get completely overwhelmed by batsmen. It's not so good. I'm not sure if he's actually noticed. There is some enemy warriors down here. Let's try and push our second unit up there. And these guys down this way a little bit. Obviously, oh, archer javelins is not quite so much what I want. This one's going to be a bit of a harder one. These guys completely surrounded over there. We have got our archers here, although they're not really able to get much fire in by the looks of it. Although any hits on these factsmen should do a good amount of damage. No, our units are in such a random formation. I'm going to stay in break ranks till they get close. I'm assuming they're going to start to throw fire at me. Oh no, they're not. Yes, they are. They're just tricking me into phalanx. This is kind of a hard one for me to do anything about, particularly with the javelins. Because, you know, what can I do against these javelins? Not a lot, basically. Because they're just going to do such phenomenal damage against me. And I have basically no missile block chance, so I can't really escape from them. Because all I can do is basically pull back and hope that, that our archers are able to get some shots on them. Or sort of a different unit comes to try and force a fight with me that I can actually deal with. But it looks like we've got some more enemy archers starting to move up as well, which isn't so good. It looks like our archers are mostly focusing on their infantry rather than their ranged units. So again, not so good for us from our point of view. So far, no damage. We've just been damaged ourselves. Not looking great for this game. Although it looks like they're largely in retreat. We could start to look about pushing down this way. But we are moving away from our archer support doing this. Which isn't necessarily a good thing. Looks like a lot of them have gone around that way, to be honest. Let's push around here then. See what we can do. All these falconsmen. Where are they going to go? No, change my mind again. Let's go up this way. Just push up, see what we can see. We can rearrange our formation pretty quickly, which is why I'm not too worried about sort of the random chaotic nature of it. One unit's going to go up there. Well, that's fine.
Our base is under attack. Quickly.
That are Milia spears. I wouldn't have thought they were going to want to fight me.
Double time.
Never know. Let's go for a charge. She got a reasonable amount of damage there. Let's go straight into that and then stoke into a haste, a push, and then let's try and pull back. Because we need to try and see what we can do against these guys. Go for a charge again, see what we can catch here. I'm just going to do the same sort of routine, but pull back into this street. Let's push these guys up straight into phalanx. I don't really want to be clubbing them together. Well, mixed results so far then, really. Let's push these guys in behind them. Got to block up this bit of street. We should be able to get some reasonable amount of damage in on these guys, I should have thought, which we are. Not going too badly. Start to bring these units back down. How's our fatigue looking? Not actually so bad. So we should be able to do this without taking too much damage, I should have thought. Until our fatigue starts to build up. Yeah, this is going pretty well. This is kind of how I wanted it to be. Keep pushing these units down. As our fatigue starts to build, though, we should see our damage is starting to crop up on our units. That's why we've got to keep pulling back. Got to maintain this fatigue down, because if the fatigue gets too high, then it's unfortunately game over for us. So let's pull this unit behind our next line and push forwards with these guys. We should be able to catch a good few of them. Like that. So everyone into break ranks and get moving. So that's kind of equivalent tier Falksman. I didn't go so badly. We have got enemy archers there though. Run away from them. If they didn't have any support, I'd be inclined to chase them. But with support, it's going to be hard for me to get in amongst them. Because we do obviously have break ranks, gives us that little bit of extra speed, which may allow us to, in break ranks, catch up with some of these enemy units. But for now, I kind of just want to get out of this town now. It looks like I am basically the last unit left alive. So I want to be clearing this gap. We've got some Kanane pikemen trying to chase me down. And quite a lot of enemy ranged units still as well. So I think the best bet I can do now is to pull back towards the town. But we've now got these guys on us. Change of plan. That was not a very good charge, was it? Come on, let's get this second unit round. Come on. Oh, these stupid couple of Falksmen are still alive. Come on, there we go. Yeah, that's a bit more like it. These guys with my commander could just pull back. Well, we're not going to be able to kill those guys, but we at least managed to get a good amount of damage in on them. Now let's start to pull this line back. If we could kill those Falksmen, it would be nice, but it doesn't look like we're going to be able to do that. Our commander's pulling back to try and defend at our base, because we're going to be having a base cap situation very soon. I'm holding these guys up temporarily, but I don't think it's going to last long, because we're soon going to get these enemy archers on me, and there goes the rest of our units. And that's really one of our biggest failings is okay, what are we going to be able to do here? With about 5 people. Okay, you can at least form a neat line. Stand there under rabble like a rabble. Oh dear, look at that. Shoddy. So what have we got facing off against us? Lots of enemy archers. Our archers are kind of in retreat. Slingers are fighting off some of the enemy archers. It's what we're going to be able to do without just taking a ton of archer damage like that. It's exactly what I don't want to be taking. We've got this enemy cavalry coming. Let's clear this corner. At least they then can't get a clean charge off on us.
Our base is under attack. Protect your comrades.
Because they're then going to go around the corner like this. Oh, they got a surprise flank on us. How ridiculous. That was kind of frustrating. Considering we were in a line off the building, I didn't feel we should have suffered that flanking modifier there. Well, we got a bit of damage in these guys. I still think... I just don't quite get how some people play them just absolutely amazingly. I've never fully understood how spearmen work. I think I'm probably Total War Arena's worst spear player. Although this pikeman seems to be doing quite a nice job of fighting in hand to hand. He's now absolutely completely surrounded. So all we've got left on our team now is a couple of Brinkopes and some cavalry. who have managed to find some units of... Oh, they found those javelins. Oh, well, that's a slight bit of satisfaction to see that they at least got killed in the end. And it's some of the Gallic premium cavalry as well, by the looks of it, for the Carthaginians. Although running with Hannibal rather than Hasdrubal, the cavalry commander. Bit of an interesting choice. Maybe he's just doing his double, though. But it doesn't look good for us on this battle. Our Prinker Bays are now completely surrounded. Sort of similar thing, at least, with how this works. He's pushing in here, but you can see, you know, he's taking quite a phenomenal amount of damage pushing in that hard, and it's not just from the fire. I think it's from the fact that just pushing in like that continuously, your fatigue racks up so quickly. And that's kind of what's making it hard. Kanane is nice because you get that reposition really quickly, which seems to work quite well. You saw how that Phalanx was able to pull back so much quicker than mine was. And that enables them to get quite a lot of damage and to pull back out of situations quite quickly, which is quite an advantage. But you're then losing things like break ranks, and I think fear I could use a lot more efficiently if I wanted to. If I was better at it as well. So just those couple of guys left, but looks like we're going to be capped out anyway. So that is our defeat, unfortunately. So not exactly ideal. 2 defeats in a row. Okay. Is not going to be a great video. So that is exactly probably how you should not play pikes. I think pikes, spearmen, not pikes, spearmen. Yes. I think I'm going to have a bit more work on these guys before I can do them properly. They're certainly not as easy to play as those Roman spearmen up at tier 8. They were just simply lovely because obviously they had that such high melee defense that enemies were struggling to land hits on you anyway. So, and combined with the fact that they had good attack and everything as well, made them very easy to play compared to these guys. I think we had quite a lot of success against those enemy falconsmen. I think that's kind of how they should have been played. You know, they attacked frontally. I was able to manage my fatigue sort of situation, which sort of meant that they couldn't really get any damage on me very effectively once I'd formed into my line. They kept trying to push into me. I was able to continue to pull back, manage my fatigue, and get damage on them. And I was then able to flank them and surround them with my other unit, which kind of meant that they got crushed with relatively minimal losses. I think that was probably the only good bit in those 2 battles, to be honest. So I think it's still a lot of work for these, so I need to get some more games in with these guys. So anyway, thank you for watching, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed my terrible performance. If you have, let me know what you think in the comments down below. What tips have you got for me? How can I play spearmen better? Because I certainly need to. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I shall see you all on the next video.